Hey, it's Mark Lanier with your video thought for the day. Yes, we are in Hymn Week, as in Old Hymn Week, as in the church that I grew up singing a cappella hymns in with this hymnal. And I'm pretty pumped about today because today I've opened the book to Numbers 542 and 543, both incredible songs. Now, the first one is 542. It comes from Matthew 6, chapter 6, verses about 28 and 29. It's where Jesus in the Sermon on the Mount was talking to people about how we needlessly worry about things. And Jesus said to consider the lilies of the field. And they don't work, and yet they're clothed gorgeously. And Jesus said, don't you know God cares more about you than he does the lilies? And the same God who clothed them, makes them look good, is going to take care of you as well. And so this song is entitled Consider the Lilies. And it's gorgeous in part because of the harmonies. I've got a link down below, but it starts out with this soprano and tenors in a duet. Consider the lilies of the field. And then the basses come in, how they grow. And you've got this bass line, consider the lilies of the field, how they grow. They toil not. They're not working hard. They toil not, neither do they spin. This is clearly written back in the days of the idea of people sitting down and spinning wool into yarn to make clothes. They don't have to do all of that. And yet I say that Solomon in all his glory was not arrayed like one of these. It's a beautiful thought, but as much as I love it, and the music is just amazing, perhaps even more is the next one, song 543, Flee as a Bird. Now, Mary Dana wrote this. Mary Dana was one of the most popular hymn writers in the 1800s. She turned to writing hymns, I think in part out of economic necessity. She grew up educated in South Carolina. Her father was a big congregational preacher and educator. In fact, I think started the first Sunday school in South Carolina. But she married, and at the age of between 25 and 27, her husband died of malaria. Her infant child died of malaria, and this on the heels of her sister and her only brother dying. So she experienced a lot of grief and turmoil and was stuck in, I think, Iowa, trying to make a living. And she started writing songs. She wrote an amazing group of songs over her whole life. Just fantastic. But listen to Flee as a Bird for a moment. And it was written to kind of a Spanish air. I think the melody, it's a kind of a melancholy, longing, wistful sound. I really hope you'll click the link below and listen to this if you don't know it. But I think the sound is what's made it so recordable by so many. I mean, I think Louis Armstrong recorded it. I mean, the world recorded this song over the last 150 years since she wrote it. But it says, flee as a bird to your mountain, thou who art weary of sin. This song is written for people who are they've just had their chops busted over their sin. Go to the clear flowing fountain where you may be washed, where you may wash and be clean. Take your sin and go to the Lord with it. Fly, for the avenger is near thee. Call, and the Savior will hear thee. He on his bosom will bear thee, O thou who art weary of sin. O thou who art weary of sin. When we get busted over our sin, when we are torn up over our sin, we can't always make everything right, but we can always go to the one who forgives, and he will always take care of us. He will, as verse 2 says, he will protect thee forever. Wipe every falling tear. He will forsake thee, O never. Sheltered so tenderly there. Haste then, the hours are flying. Spend not the moments in sighing. Cease from your sorrow and crying. The Savior will wipe every tear. The Savior will wipe every tear. And that's the God we worship. The God who not only takes care of the lilies of the field, but takes care of his children as well. Even when we're steeped and weary of our sin, he is the place where we've got rest and we've got solace. He loves us unconditionally, and he expresses it as we come to him. So that's your encouragement, your thought for the day. Tomorrow, I get to close with one of my favorites on Hymn Week. So I'll see you tomorrow.